In Ypsilanti, where that deadly shooting captured on Facebook Live has left the community stunned. The victim had become somewhat of a local celebrity because of those live feeds.
He tapped go live like he always did. Sitting in his car, music low, that same confident smirk. Thousands would watch what came next. But no one could have predicted how it would end. Terrell Smith was about to die on Facebook Live.
Was on his Facebook Live talking to the camera. He was in a heated exchange with someone who was making comments as he was going live.
And the scariest part? It wasn't the gun. It was what he said right before the trigger was pulled. Sunday, June 28, 2020. Ypsilanti, Michigan, a quiet working-class town just outside of Ann Arbor. Not the kind of place that trends on social media. But this day, it did. At around 1:45 p.m., 46-year-old Terrell Smith set up his phone in the front seat of his car, parked right in front of his own house on Maplewood Avenue. He hit go live. What followed was just over 28 minutes of casual, unscripted conversation. At first, nothing seemed unusual. The music was playing softly in the background. Terrell wore a red shirt and leaned back, relaxed. One hand on the steering wheel, the other holding the phone. Occasionally, he sipped from a drink, laughing to himself, reading the comments as people joined in. You already know what it is. They mad. I'm still living. I'm still breathing. It sounded like swagger, but in hindsight, it was something else. A warning. By the 10-minute mark, more than 100 people were watching live. Some fans, some neighbors, some maybe not so friendly. That's when Terrell's tone began to shift. He started talking about his haters. No names, no direct accusations, just veiled warnings. Paranoia? Maybe. But he was persistent. He looked straight into the camera, lifted his shirt slightly, and flashed something at his waist. It wasn't clear. Maybe a belt, maybe a weapon. The camera didn't catch enough detail. The comments rolled in. Viewers, they ain't gonna do nothing, T. Stay safe, bro. Don't go off on live. That last one would echo. As the minutes ticked by, Terrell kept the same energy. Calm, but slightly erratic. Confident, but repetitive. He circled back to his haters again and again. At minute 28, something changed. He glanced to his left. A brief look, then back at the camera. Then again. His smile faltered. Just for a second. And then, 2 gunshots. Loud, close, sudden. The camera jolted violently. Terrell screamed. The phone fell from his hand and landed on the car floor. All the viewers could now see was the blurry interior. The car seat, the dashboard, the sky through the windshield. But you could hear everything. Gasping, gurgling, movement. And then, nothing. The live stream kept running. Comments poured in. Is he playing? WTF just happened? Yo, someone call 911. He trolling again? Some thought it was fake, a prank. Terrell was known to joke around on camera. He had a reputation for going live and ranting. People assumed this was just another act. But it wasn't. Someone clipped the stream. Others screen recorded it. Within minutes, it was on Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, TikTok. Facebook eventually pulled the video down, but not before it had been downloaded, reshared, and reposted dozens of times. The internet had just witnessed a murder live, and many didn't realize it at first. By the time neighbors called 911, it was already too late. When police arrived, Terrell was slumped over the front passenger seat. Multiple gunshot wounds to the chest and neck. Still alive, but barely. Paramedics rushed him to the hospital. He was pronounced dead minutes later, but there was no one around. No fleeing suspect. No screaming witnesses. Just a phone, still hot, still streaming. The only eyewitness to Terrell Smith's murder was the internet. Detectives immediately understood this wasn't a routine case. This was a live-streamed crime scene, unprecedented and difficult to process. They watched the video over and over again. Every frame, every flicker, every sound. What was Terrell looking at before the gunshots? Was it someone approaching? A familiar voice? The expression on his face seconds before the shooting changed everything. They subpoenaed Facebook, pulled geolocation tags, traced metadata, cross-referenced viewer names, and then something else surfaced. An old Facebook status Terrell posted just hours before going live. "They say they gon' kill me. I ain't scared though." He predicted his death and still chose to live stream. To understand why this case went viral and why it cut so deep in his community, you need to understand who Terrell Smith was. He wasn't famous, but locally, he was a fixture, a name, a presence. Nicknamed T, Terrell was a father, a brother, and a regular on Facebook Live. Some knew him for his jokes, others for his rants, some for his past. He had done time, he had enemies, but he also had plans. Friends say he was trying to turn things around, starting a small clothing brand, giving back to local kids, mentoring the younger generation. But what he never gave up was his phone. His live streams. He'd go live 2-3 times a day, riffing about women, music, and life on the block. Sometimes for 5 minutes, sometimes for an hour. But in those last few weeks, something changed. The tone shifted. The smiles faded. The jokes were still there. But there was more tension, more paranoia. He started calling out unnamed enemies. He started saying things like, "They're watching everything I do, but I ain't hiding. If it's up, it's up." Some saw it as bravery. Others called it reckless. In June 2020, it all caught up to him. After Terrell's death, police launched a full investigation. Dozens of people were questioned. A few leads emerged, but no arrests were made immediately. Months passed. The livestream became infamous, a digital ghost. Clips of it would reappear on forums and dark corners of the internet. Ypsilanti held a candlelight vigil. His family demanded answers. But one chilling fact remained. Terrell Smith told the world he wasn't afraid to die. And then he died. Live. This case wasn't just about a shooting. It was about the collision of violence and the internet. A man live-streamed his final moments. Not by accident, but with a purpose. With defiance. Terrell Smith didn't just die on Facebook Live. He used Facebook Live to say something, to say, "I see you. I'm not scared." And maybe to leave something behind. They watched him die, in real time. And in the end, it wasn't just a video, it was a message. As the Facebook live stream ticked past the 27-minute mark, Terrell Smith did something that would haunt viewers forever. He raised his shirt, just slightly, revealing something tucked in his waistband. It was subtle, quick, but unmistakable. Then calmly, chillingly, he said, "They're gonna have me one of these days, but I'm gonna smile when I'm dead." The moment passed like a throwaway comment, but it wasn't. It was a prophecy, because just 90 seconds later, the screen went black. To many, Terrell's Facebook was just social media. To him, it was something more. It was a public diary, a place where he aired his thoughts, his fears, and sometimes his warnings. 4 days before he was killed, on June 24th, he posted, "Can't even trust your kind. That's what hurts." 2 days later, "Human beings have envy in their blood. You don't have to do anything wrong. And then, on the very day of his death, hours before the live stream, they threatened to kill me. I'm not afraid, though. He knew something was coming. The world just didn't know how soon.
All of a sudden, I heard one shot, and then I looked over here, and there was a kid running, and then all of a sudden we heard about 10 more shots.
After the gunshots, when the live stream fell silent, the internet did not. Commenters poured in. Theories exploded. Why did he go live? Was it a warning? A trap? A final performance? Was he calling someone out? Or was he walking straight into an ambush? Within hours, social media lit up. His closest friends and family were interviewed live on local news. His cousin wept on air. He had children. He had friends. He wasn't perfect, but no one deserves to die like that. Not live. Not like that. His best friend added, he knew the world had turned on him. He didn't care. That was T. He wasn't hiding from anybody. And then, someone said it. The first chilling suggestion, I think someone planned this. I think they knew he was going live. In the hours that followed, Facebook and YouTube comments exploded. Someone claimed there was a bounty on Terrell's life. Others said he was baited, lured into broadcasting at a specific time. And then came a screenshot. A deleted comment, posted just minutes before the shooting. It read, should have kept quiet. The comment had come from an account belonging to someone from Terrell's past. Someone with a grudge. The post was taken down, but not before users grabbed the profile. The internet did what the police hadn't yet. They whispered a name, Jalen Deshaun Martin. 25 years old, from the same block as Terrell, once close, ran in the same crew. But something had happened. No one knew exactly what, but the fallout had been public. Ugly, long simmering, old school beef. One comment said, that was about me. We all knew it was going to happen. Jalen had a record, assault, robbery, weapons charges. But at the time of Terrell's death, he was a free man. Still, whispers turned to confirmation. Police received anonymous tips. Social media connected dots. Within 48 hours of the shooting, detectives knocked on Jalen Martin's door. He didn't run. He didn't fight. He went with them. Charged with open murder, felony firearm possession, and use of a weapon during a felony. But once inside, Jalen denied everything. I wasn't there, he told detectives. Didn't even watch the live. His alibi? He was with a friend, except that friend said Jalen left for 30 minutes to handle something. No gun was recovered, no prints, no camera footage of the shooter. So, how did the police move so fast? The key wasn't just the Facebook Live video, it was everything around it. Digital forensics experts combed through the live stream second by second. Timestamps, GPS signals, audio waveforms. They marked the precise moment Terrell leaned left. 27:46. His smile disappeared. He glanced into the side mirror, then over his shoulder, and on the car window, a reflection, something metallic. They enhanced the frame, matched it to a nearby surveillance camera. A black sedan, slowly passing in front of Terrell's car. 2 blocks later, that same car appeared parked behind him. Then came the comment. A chilling line, 30 seconds before the shooting. Username, RedScope38. Go on and spit out your We're listening. A burner account. But police traced the IP. The location? Right around the block from where Terrell sat. It wasn't random. Whoever posted that comment was watching. From nearby, Jaylen Martin claimed innocence, but police suspected he hadn't acted alone. Another name came up, Marquez Daniels, 24 years old, no job, no online presence, but street famous, known for handling business. 3 weeks before Terrell's death, another man was shot on Ypsilanti's west side. Different victim, different motive. But the same gun. Ballistics matched the shell casings, and that victim survived. When interviewed again, he dropped a name. I think it was Marquez. He rolls with Jaylen. Police pulled his cell data. That burner account, Redscope 38, same cell tower as Marquez's phone. On the day of the murder, detectives developed a theory. Terrell's murder wasn't spontaneous. It was calculated, a setup. Jaylen bullied him online for weeks. Terrell pushed back. Jaylen felt disrespected. So they tuned in, watched the live stream in real time, waited for the perfect moment. Marquez pulled the trigger, and Jaylen, he cleaned up the trail. It was quiet, fast, efficient, no DNA, no fingerprints, no surveillance of the shooter, just a screen, a Facebook Live. But there was one last piece of the puzzle, a sound, 5 seconds before the gunshots. A subtle click on the stream's audio track. They compared it with known firearm models. It matched. Same caliber as the previous shooting. Same rate of fire. Same mechanical click. That sound was the killer chambering around. They hadn't caught him in the act, but they caught the moment he prepared to kill. The internet had witnessed a murder in real time. And somehow the scariest part wasn't the shooting. It was that Terrell saw it coming and chose to broadcast anyway. Maybe it was a cry for help. Maybe a stand. Maybe a way to be remembered. He said, "I'll smile when I'm dead." And in the final seconds of his life, he did. Now his Facebook Live sits in digital memory. A modern-day crime scene, a confession, a eulogy, and the terrifying proof that the camera doesn't lie. Even when it's too late to stop what's coming. They struck when Terrell Smith was at his most vulnerable. Why didn't he name Marquez as his shooter? Perhaps he never even saw him. The assassin didn't emerge from the shadows or scream threats. He didn't call out, didn't hesitate. He simply crept close enough and pulled the trigger. And so, when the prosecution stepped into court, they were armed with fragments. They had Terrell's chilling Facebook live stream. They had cryptic burner phone texts, a car caught on surveillance video, an audio breakdown of the gunfire, and cell tower data tracing the location of suspects. They had the motive, but they didn't have the gun. They didn't have a confession. They didn't have the shooter's face on the tape. When the name Marquez Daniels surfaced, Ypsilanti split in two. Some argued that he and Jaylen Martin had worked together. Others insisted Marquez was innocent, a scapegoat. The online world exploded. Facebook group threads lit up with accusations, suspicions, even death threats. That wasn't Jaylen, some swore. Too sloppy. Others clung to Terrell's final words, feeling the dread in his voice. And then came something darker. Allegations that one of Terrell's own friends had leaked his location that day. Terrell died a week after being shot and was cremated soon after. But his burial was not quiet. It became a public spectacle. Friends, family, and total strangers arrived. People who hadn't known Terrell personally but had watched his last moments unfold live on their phones. At the funeral, his daughter spoke bravely. He wasn't perfect, but he lived. He provided. And they took him like his life didn't matter. The silence that followed the coffin's descent was soon broken. Outside, protesters gathered. Not in mourning, but in outrage. Some blamed Terrell himself. He brought this on, they claimed. They said he courted danger with his live streams, played gangster too long, and finally paid the price. Others defended him. "You don't kill a man for what he posted on Facebook," a pastor declared during a vigil. He wasn't a villain, he was a man. Online forums became battlegrounds. Hashtags and memes collided with grief, and the streets buzzed with tension. In the last week of July, the courtroom drama began. Jalen Deshaun Martin stood trial for open murder, possession of a firearm as a felon, and use of a firearm during the commission of a felony. Marquez Daniels had been arrested earlier but never charged. Not enough direct evidence linked him. He was released, but the cloud over him remained. The case against Jalen leaned heavily on digital evidence, Terrell's final Facebook posts. A timeline pieced together from cell tower pings, surveillance footage of the vehicle near the scene, a known history of conflict between the two men. But no murder weapon, no DNA, no eyewitnesses. Jalen's lawyers pounced. They painted Terrell as volatile. They brought up his past. They scrutinized the status update. They said they're gonna kill me. They labeled it paranoia, not proof. If my client pulled the trigger, the defense asked, where is the gun? Where is his face on the video? Where is the motive beyond gossip from the internet? They raised doubts enough to rattle even Terrell's family. His sister testified. He had his demons, but he was trying. He wanted to be better. She collapsed in tears when asked to listen to the final seconds of the live stream. Outside, demonstrators held signs. This happened live. We demand justice. Then, in the third week of the trial, a break came. A 17-year-old stepped forward. He claimed to have seen Jalen arguing on Terrell's street shortly before the live stream began. He overheard threats, even a demand for money. The defense dismissed it as hearsay, but the jury listened. In closing arguments, the prosecution was clear. You saw it, you heard it, you felt it. Terrell Smith died in front of us all. That stream wasn't a rumor or a retelling, it was real. And the killer watched it too. Maybe even watched himself do it. The defense responded, "Don't mistake emotion for evidence. If we start convicting people based on screenshots and suspicion, we are all vulnerable." The jury deliberated for 2 days. Guilty on all counts. Jalen Martin was sentenced to life in prison without parole. Marquez Daniels was not charged. The gun was never recovered. Still, many said justice had been served. Others weren't convinced. Online, the outrage continued. Some insisted Jalen had been railroaded, that his conviction was more about internet pressure than truth. Others believed that too many people stayed silent. You don't live stream a man dying without someone knowing it's coming, one user posted. In the months that followed, the trend continued. Other live stream shootings surfaced, one in Chicago, another in Florida, one in Texas. Each one was streamed live. Each time, the audience watched in horror. Experts began calling it a new genre of crime, digital executions. Terrell Smith became the face of it, the man who died while recording. The man who told the world what was coming. His stream is no longer online, but the images remain, the screenshots, the last frame before the shots rang out, the memes, the TikTok edits. He became a symbol, not just of brutality, but of vulnerability in the age of performance. He hit the go live button to prove something, that he wasn't afraid, that he had nothing to hide. But the people who watched, they didn't log in to save him. They logged in to see what he would do. Terrell Smith's final act wasn't just a tragedy, it was a warning. And it came right on time. If this story touched you, don't forget to subscribe and be sure to check out the next video below. Sometimes, sharing these stories is the only way to ensure history doesn't repeat itself.